Yo, 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 what's going on, great people in all of the great land? You already know who it is. Your favorite fantasy football homeboys back in action, ready to rock and roll. Nicholas Wilcox, Johnny Main. We out here, the fantasy football show, the conference finals. Who is going to the Super Bowl? We got that breakdown for you. We got DFS. We got props and bets for you. Trying to line up your pockets to start up the year right consistently. Johnny, say what's up to the great people. Uh-oh.
Yo, what up, man?
There
What
we
up?
go.
Looks like it's just going to be through this here. I got some technical difficulties, which just lines up with everything else from our week. What up? Happy AFC, happy NFC Championship weekend. I hope your weekend was better than mine because mine got completely decimated by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah, that's all I got.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, if you didn't hear about the news,
yeah.
Hear about the news, a couple of coaching hires, stuff like that, Mike McDaniel, for whatever reason, will only take a Chargers OC job if you can't find a head coaching job. So let's put that out there. We have Jesse Minter, the head coach of Baltimore now. There is a lot of other talk. And, of course, Mike McCarthy returning home, so to speak. New head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, quick reaction, Johnny, to that.
I'm not gonna go off on a 20-minute tirade about all of this because I'm probably gonna make a video about this, but I will just say this in the most easiest, nicest way I can say. What's up, Haywood? No. That's my reaction is no. Nothing more, nothing less right now at this moment. Just no.
The only thing I'll say is that that's not something I expected for Pittsburgh in general. I'll just say that. What I also didn't expect was, again, you most likely have – you talked about this before. It's like with Pittsburgh, you think in terms of this – how the team nucleus looks like right now with the cap space and how it looks like and how much money you spent on the defense last year just to be at the same point that you were from past years. And now you bring in Mike McCarthy, who is a very well-respected head coach. But is this the makeup of the team you want him taking over? And what type of expectations is he coming in with? Because to be honest, this team is in general, even if you bring back Aaron Rodgers, this team is in no position to, get past to where they were for the last prior years under Mike Tomlin. So all I got to say to the reaction is that, it definitely threw me for a loop. I'm sure it threw a lot of people for a loop in general. So I know
it's instead of just giving you a no,
yeah,
I will actually get my take on it is that, first of all, I don't even know why they even went that route. Obviously, seen a lot of stuff online, just a lot of different perspectives, which I think were good. Obviously for me, but I just think about this is that, for every Steeler fan that was out there that was like, oh, no go for Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is just this. He's, this is what the standard is. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. He is basically, Mike McCarthy is Coke Zero, while Mike Tomlin was at least a cherry Coke, a vanilla Coke, just that's really, and then
they don't make it anymore, do they?
No, but that there's that, and then there's people have said, well, Mike McCarthy does a good job with quarterbacks. Well, I mean, I guess it's not that hard to do whenever you inherit prime Aaron Rodgers, really, when you think about it, or whether you're coaching Dak Prescott. So, all right, cool, man. So cool. So I just it doesn't make sense. One of the perspectives I've seen that actually I thought was I was okay, I could see this. And my take on it, my other take is that Mike McCarthy's he's going to be the scapegoat. Is what he's going to be. He's going to be the scapegoat. This is unlike any other situation that like we've seen, or at least this is unlike any situation that he's ever been in, because like they don't have a quarterback at all, period. So like that's a bad situation. So maybe it's just a situation where he's the out for it. He's the coach. They underperform. In a year or 2 years, they kick him to the curb. They bring in somebody. But I think like most Steeler fans are just disappointed because of like the available candidates that are out there. And it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna go the Mike McCarthy route, why not just go Harbaugh? Like, why not do that? Like, why not do that if this is the route that you're gonna go? At least I think for Steeler fans, we would have been like, okay, like we would have felt a little bit. I mean, I know I would have felt a little bit better if it was Harbaugh. Not that I'm saying he's any different than Tomlin or Mike McCarthy, but I just like, we don't know who the coordinators are. So obviously there's that. There's like Mike Tomlin, at least players wanted to play for Mike Tomlin. Like they wanted to play for Mike Tomlin. I don't think anybody's going to be beating down the doors in Pittsburgh to go play with Mike McCarthy, man. So I just like, there's so many other takes, man, but I think McCarthy's going to end up being the out is what he's going to end up being. He's going to end up having a not good roster. Do I want that? No. Like I want the Steelers to be successful. I want them to win, but I just do not think that there's anything, especially given the history of like what they've done. Like I can get it. Like if you want to buck the trend, man, take an offensive guy, like take an offensive young guy. Don't take an offensive guy that's 62 years old. Like, don't do that. And a 5-year deal, man. Like there's so many bad things, man. And I'm just literally at a loss for words, man, for sure. But more to come from me in that space, man. For sure.
Totally. I'll also say like with the other hires, like I'm saying, like with John Harbaugh with the Giants, Kevin Stefanski to the Falcons, Minter with the Ravens. And then who else did I miss? Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator for the Packers, formerly. Now he's the head coach for Miami. And then Robert Saleh with the Tennessee Titans. Was there any other like notes you wanted to talk about on any of those guys in general? I do think that, like, for example, like some of these guys here, like it's definitely interesting how everything kind of shook out a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like everybody is passive. It seems like that's what's happening, is everybody's playing it passive. And like with everybody playing it passive, what's going to happen is some bullshit's going to happen, and the Cleveland Browns are going to fall ass backwards into, a really good coach that like everybody else like just didn't even go with. So I think like there's that. The Stefanski hire, man, in Atlanta, actually, I know there's been a lot of people that are, man, nobody wants that job, bro. I'm sorry, man. Nobody wants that job. Yeah. And yeah. Oh my God. Like the Stefanski hire in Atlanta. Yeah, like I like that for Atlanta, man. Like I do. I like that for Atlanta. I think that's a really good hire for them. I think Stefanski, all things considered, is a really good coach. I know people will, immediately point to like how he handled the Shedeur Sanders situation. All right, cool. But I think like those are just two instances where both parties had pretty much just quit on each other. And for all intents and purposes, the Browns, Stefanski was not set up to be successful. Like he wasn't set up to be successful in this space. And then, like, I don't know if you've seen the banner back and forth about I think it was Stefanski and Baker Mayfield. There's a lot of like new, like interesting, like rivalries that are going to be yeah. Like it's definitely going to be, but like that's, to me so far, I think that's the best hire. Minter, it seems like he's a really good hire too for Baltimore, for who they are and what they want to do in youth. But man, just imagine if they just would have found some way to hold on to Mike McDonald still, man, which I'm glad he got out the door, because that's a great hire for Seattle. Great hire for them. But yeah, man, it's I am not excited about anything that the Steelers have going on right now at all. Like I literally felt for like 25. I felt like a fan of like the other 25 franchises in the NFL yesterday is what I felt like. I was like, this is what it must be like to be a fan of like an incredibly crappy organization. And here we are, man.
Wow.
Here we are. Yeah.
I think where John Harbaugh lands is going to be the most interesting. You got a young set of weapons there. Harbaugh is one of those coaches that has built a culture before, and knows how to, really rein in the pieces over time to make it successful. So it'll be interesting to see how the Giants overall kind of look for either under him moving forward. I do think Robert Saleh to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, look, I just don't know. I mean, I'll just say that was I didn't expect that one per se. I thought maybe a different type of newer name would get that type of job, not Robert Saleh, but I think it's a solid place for him to build up a resume once again, and take a shot at being a head coach again. But will we expect much? Not enough. But only time will tell. With that being said, look, we got conference championship games to break now. All right. So without further ado, if you ain't like and subscribe to the channel, what are you waiting for? We're begging you. Come on, please. Public service announcement. We need to get to 200 subs for the end of the season. 19 away. Help us out. If you're on X right now, please hop over to the YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel, please. We're trying to enlighten everybody more. We're trying to get more information, trying to get y'all more paid and more money going into next year as well. So please help out your favorite fantasy football homeboys. And go like and subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, same thing, please. That being said, look, Johnny, Patriots and Broncos, just like how we predicted it. Patriots going to Denver, a 3.5 favorite. They were a 5.5 favorite. So there's some sharper money coming in potentially, or just dumb money, potentially. But yeah, look, like I said, this line was 5.5, about when I maybe Wednesday, something like that, and then all of a sudden it's changed. Yeah. So over under is 43.5. I think we're probably reading the same thing, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah. So I think this game, it starts with Jared Stidham. Where else is there to start, man? For the Broncos, where else is there to start? And man, obviously, just kind of getting a beat on a couple things. So of course, me, I'm getting ready to just rifle off a whole bunch of stuff here. So a couple of quarterbacks that have just recently made their first start in playoff games. Well, I shouldn't say their first start, but their first start of the season in a playoff game. You got Tyler Heineke, which we know how that ended 31-23 when he was with the Washington football team. Connor Cook for the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, we didn't lose him.
What, me?
Oh boy, I think we might have lost him.
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, he's frozen. What he was pretty much getting ready to say was that Taylor Heineke, good Lord.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are. There you
okay, I was still moving, I could see everything still going. But Tyler Heineke, let me know if I get frozen again. Weather here. Tyler Heineke, Connor Cook, who subbed in for the great Derek Carr after I think it was a broken leg for him. Joe Webb for the Minnesota Vikings in 2012.
I remember him.
Yeah, Frank Reich, Gary Danielson, Roger Staubach. So Stidham was the first quarterback since Roger Staubach in 72 to make their first start of the season in a conference championship game or later. So yeah, he's got the deck stacked against him for sure. Hasn't attempted a pass since 2013 in week 18, and it has been 749 days since his last pass attempt, man. So yeah, this is going to be tough sledding for those guys and Jared Stidham now. Now the good news is, and I obviously went to check this out too, Sean Payton offenses have averaged 383 yards per game in the playoffs since he's been a head coach, and that's the most amongst anybody with at least 10 playoff games in NFL history. I'm sorry if I'm going to be petty today, but I'm obviously in a not a great mood, so I'm going to be petty. These are all great stats with Sean Payton, and he is very similar to Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin only has one Super Bowl ring. So there's that as far as Sean Payton goes, and obviously Drew Brees. Drew Brees has been was the quarterback for a majority of that, and Bo Nix obviously last year, and this year as well. So Jarrett Stidham is going to be Jarrett Stidham is the guy rolling into this week. Yeah. So we got that, man. Now it's really going to come down to the Denver Broncos defense is what it's going to come down to today if they're going to have a shot to win. There's no other way. It's the Denver Broncos defense. That's the only way they're able to win today. Zach Allen and John Franklin had the second most pressures among defensive tackles in all of football. And a really unique stat is that the top four defensive.
John Franklin.
Yeah, the top four defensive tackle duos in the NFL actually are all competing today in the championship. So I thought that was just like really interesting. And obviously we know the league is a copycat league, so it'd be interesting to see how some of these other teams try to replicate, or if they even take like that same path defensively. But yeah, for the Broncos, man, like it's tough sledding, man. And then we talk about the Pats, Diggs and Booty. They recorded their second and third highest catch rates amongst wide receivers with targets over 20 yards this year. But the Broncos have actually done a really good job on deep passes. Obviously, last week they held Josh Allen to 0 for 9, 2 interceptions there in that space. So I'll look for the Patriots to probably be, trying to throw the football short, not taking too many big throws down the field. They obviously will have to, to kind of loosen up the defense for sure. And then Diggs, talking about him, he's somebody like I like a lot today in DFS. Obviously I kind of glanced over your props. I didn't like dive into him because I didn't want to like steal any thunder or anything. But Diggs,
more information the better, my guy.
Yeah, well, Diggs was the second best receiver in the NFL on crossing patterns this season, behind Jamison Williams. So Diggs has got 284 yards in that space. So obviously I would expect to see him being really utilized today, especially with how good Denver's been down the field. And then, we talk about Ramondre Stevenson on this 5-game winning streak for the Pats. He has 352 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns and 194 plus yards over his expected rate during this time, and 9 explosive runs. That's 5th most in the NFL since week 16. He's averaged 70 yards in each of the last 7 games. So this is screaming Ramondre Stevenson, and 86 yards from scrimmage on 12 touches per game. The Broncos have allowed 8 running backs at least 70 yards in 2025. And this is including obviously James Cook last week. So yeah, man. So like the Patriots weapons, like their skill players are in a really good place. I think a really good place, or at least something to be mindful of and paying attention to is Will Campbell. It's been kind of rough for him the last two weeks, but granted, like he's also been on the field with 2 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. And so this is what it is. Drake May could become the first quarterback ever to win 3 playoff games against top 5 defenses in a single postseason. So I thought that was a pretty interesting stat because I was somebody who also kind of subscribed to the theory that like I didn't know how much credit we could give to the Patriots as far as like what they've done. I think I'm not going to call them lucky. I think they're a very fortunate franchise, if that makes sense. Obviously being able to get a guy like Drake May, it seems like that was 1,000% the right move. No doubt. And then just to kind of put a bow on a couple of these things, May's 23 years old. He'll be the 4th youngest quarterback to start a road conference championship. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And the Pats are 2-0 in AFC championship games, not started by Tom Brady. So it'll be interesting nonetheless to say for that game. I think the entire public is I believe taking the Patriots in that space. Ownership wise, on FanDuel, RJ Harvey's the highest owned player at 42%. Ramondre Stevenson coming in at second. And then I'll take a quick glance over here on DraftKings as well, obviously, because we have only just these 2 games today. So the 2 highest owned players in this game are still RJ Harvey and Ramondre Stevenson. respectively. So I just think this game, it's really going to come down to, this has got to be the best effort that Denver puts forth. And I think we're all aware of that right there, which I think, as far as the NFL goes, those are the most dangerous teams right there. Those are the most dangerous teams, the teams that, are underdogs. We've seen this more than a few times. Some of these teams that are underdogs, you think back to the the Eagle team with Nick Foles. You think back to those teams. You even think back to, a guy like Tom Brady when he was an underdog going into a lot of like hostile situation against the Raiders and the Steelers back in the day. So the more this week kind of drug on, the more I kind of thought like, all right, well, maybe there is a chance that the Broncos have in this game, but I'm not willing to take that risk. History says that it's not going to be good for Drake May, but the Patriots are obviously they're not in the business of following the trends of history. And as sad as this pains me to say, the Patriots have actually turned into the team that I root for. Like as far as like what they've done and how they've handled business, to be down and now all of a sudden they're back in the mix on things. They've built things the way that the Steelers used to, and they've taken that model and they've crushed it, man. So I still don't like the Patriots, but I tip my cap.
I got water in my ears. What the hell did you just say?
Like this is like what the Patriots have done is what the Pittsburgh Steelers used to do. Like this is what they used to do, and so like. For me, it's like, okay, man, like they've taken the recipe and the secret sauce and they've made it better, man. So yeah, I think it's the Patriots all day for me. I like Steph Diggs a lot today in DFS. I like Pop Douglas a lot today in DFS. There's no reason to move off of Ramondre or Drake May. I think obviously the Pats defense is going to be incredibly popular today. Man, just sad for it to end this way for the Broncos, but this is what it is, man.
So safe to say you got the Patriots in the cover.
Guaranteed.
Okay. Well, I guess some things to make things interesting, to make people think a little bit more besides being brain dead and taking New England because of what's just transpired late last week, right? Like I said, Denver was a plus 5.5. Pretty much I think that was opening line. Like I said, that dropped a couple points throughout the week. So now we got a 3.5. New England, right? 8-0 when it comes to being on the road this season. They haven't suffered one loss. They are 0-4 as a franchise in Denver in the playoffs. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is that, Drake May, for as good as New England looked, in that game, especially late, there was still a ton of turnovers for Drake May. He overall, again, he's not he overall just these defenses are going to come at him. So, 10 times in the last 2 games. And he's fumbled in 6 times in the last 2 games. 3 of those fumbles he lost. So that's something to just keep in mind. Denver, they've been a defense that's been really stout all season. But again, just let up 30-something points against Buffalo this past week. So it just remains to be seen. I think the key matchups for me really in this one will be can Denver force a turnover or 2? Can they get themselves in better field position for this offense that doesn't have Bo Nix? That's leaning on Jarrett Stidham that we haven't seen start a game and God knows how long outside a preseason game. And I think Sean Payton is one of those better play callers, of what we've seen, especially in our generation. So I think keys to the game will really be can Denver do something similar to what Houston did this past week, where the turnovers were there. It's just Houston getting the ball back too many times. So it'll be something to watch for. I think everyone expects the Patriots to win. And I think the line makes sense for them to win and cover. I just think that Denver, they have a really good defense. I'm not going to say they're going to walk all over them. But again, if Jarrett Stidham looks like anything like CJ Stroud last week, forget about it. It's going to be New England's hands down. The only way Denver, like I said, really has an opportunity in this one is a big play from Marvin Mims. Special teams touchdown, something like that. Or they get really creative with their play calls. They keep everything more shorter and condensed because obviously New England's corners have been stout this postseason. Christian Gonzalez, of course. And I think a lot of times you're going to be needing to check the ball down a ton for Denver just to keep things moving. If they can't keep moving the chains against New England's defense, Denver's not going to have a shot either. So a lot of things need to happen for Denver to really stamp this. But they have an opportunity, just like anything else, and that's why they play the games. But you and me both expect New England to win, so it's not something that, this is something where I've told New England fans before, is like, this is a spot where, now you guys expect to really win, so they're going to have to go out there and win. But this wasn't the expectation, right? Mike Vrabel wasn't expected to come in and lead you guys to the conference championship, let alone a Super Bowl first year. So that's just what it is right now. So that being said, I think we agree on those things in general for the game. It would just be, again, just like any other playoff game, right? A turnover or two can change just like that. So we'll find out what happens here.
Yeah, I've tried to I've tried to think about how could this happen, right? I think J.K. Dobbins was activated off of IR as well, so Denver will get a little bit of boost, in that space.
He's not playing though. He was already ruled out.
Because I did see him actually on the injury report, and I seen they activated him, and then I seen he was out, and I was like, okay, well that's kind of weird. They activated him and showing out. So Harvey. So then if it's all Harvey, we've been waiting on, this is something we've been waiting on and all season long, and Harvey's had a couple of moments, but it hasn't been anything to write home about. I think Troy Franklin is still down too, so it's Pat Bryant, it's little Jordan Humphrey. Cortland Sutton,
maybe Evan Ingram today,
maybe no, I thought I'd seen a couple props on that, man, it's there's the only, and you mentioned Drake May and the sacks. I think he was one of the top 2 or top 3 quarterbacks in the leagues that's got impacted by strip sacks. So maybe that's a place for Denver, because both those tackles, they've actually been, I think it was at a top 8 rate in the NFL.
Yep.
That they had been.
Allen, these guys are going to come after it.
But New England's tackles, New England's offensive tackles, they've had to have help, chip help at a top 8 rate in the NFL. So I think that's I don't know, man. It feels like there's just not a way. It just feels like there's not a way, and it's unfortunate because it's the 3:00 game, and unless you're a Patriot fan, you don't even really care to watch this, because you kind of have an idea of how it's going to go. I don't I really don't care. I don't. I'm obviously I'm going to watch the game, and the moment that it feels like it's getting out of control, it's just all the air has been let out of no, I'm not going to change it. I'll just start doing some dad chores around here, you know what I mean? But but the other part too, man, is historically New England has had a hard time going into Foxborough playing, man. They've had a hard time going to, Foxborough.
Denver, they're 0-4.
Yeah, they've had a hard time historically going there, man. So history's not always doomed to repeat itself. Obviously, there's a lot of different players and different pieces and different situations, but yeah, I'm not excited about this game.
I'll tell you what I am excited for. Rams and Seahawks.
Yeah.
This is if we had the Super Bowl, it'd probably be these two teams, right?
Facts.
So Rams getting 2.5 as the underdog going to Seattle. Seattle's the number 1 seed, of course. The over under 45.5. The 6:30 p.m. EST start time. So yeah, look, I think when it comes to these two teams, we've seen both these teams before. And this is the third time, and for the last time, for all the marbles to go to the Super Bowl. How fitting. Yeah, look, I think when it comes to both of these teams, it comes down to, I really think it comes down to the running game for the Rams versus Seattle's front seven in this matchup for me. Rams, as you know, if not one of they're best in terms of yards, yards per game. As far as play action passes, these things. So the running game needs to set up for them in this one. You have Kyron, you have Blake Corum, So I think in this matchup it really comes down to can the Rams rushing attack stay on schedule against a Seattle defense that has put people in their place, but against the Rams they've been sus. You know what I'm saying? So in these matchups for the most part, statistically. So it comes down to that. And on the other side, it's Sam Darnold, literally. And Sam Darnold, can he really? It's more of like, this is like one of those mental edges, like moments. Like, can he get, what they say? Can he get the what's the saying goes? Can he get the monkey off his back type of thing? These situations, because Darnold, like, for the most part, like, again, he's always kind of shrivel up in moments that really when it mattered most. So this is a spot where he's at home. He has a great defense. Just came off the victory of whooping, and I mean whooping. Niners 41-6. So I mean, you got to be feeling good about playing your rival one more time. Again, when everything matters the most. So those are the two like spotlights for me, because I think everywhere else makes sense. Like, you got both of these offense, we know who could score. There's no Charbonnet today, so that means all Kenneth Walker and then maybe some spell work from some other running backs. But it comes down to, for me, it just comes down to, if the run game gets established for the Rams, this sets up everything else for their offense, and this could lead to a high-scoring outcome. If the run game doesn't get going, it becomes Stafford just standing in the pocket, being a statue, and Seattle just getting after it. So the Rams have obviously the receivers, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. They have a plethora of tight ends to get it done as well. So remains to be seen. Both of these teams split in the regular season. One of them was a 38-37 game where Rams, they had I believe a 16-point lead in that final frame before letting it go the game in overtime. And then they obviously won the first game. So I think for the Rams, for me, like, it's tricky, but I'm just going to take them. I think they have the better offense, of course. I do think that as much as I respect Seattle's defense, there's still spots where they've let up. And I think I just need to go on with the Rams in these games. Like, I think for them, it comes down to like their offense and them staying on schedule. And if they can't like I said, the run game's huge in my opinion, because if they can't get that started, Stafford becomes, like I said, a statue, and only bad things happen after that. Most times. So giving the Rams plus 2.5. But I do like them to win this game.
Yeah, I can definitely understand why. I had been on record for it, points and times of the season saying the Rams are the best team in the NFL. I'd also been on record as well for saying at points in time during the season that the Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. And I definitely find it ironic that here we are now with, two teams that were dubbed the best team in the NFL a couple of times playing for this. And you talked about just the rivalry and the matchups overall. Well, in week 16, Stafford, 457 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that's week 16 loss. So as you mentioned, like the Seahawks, while the defense is very stout, it can happen. A place like I want to pay attention to, or I think that's really going to be critical, is inside the red zone if the Rams are able to get there. Because Matt Stafford so far, man, he's got 32 touchdowns and 1 interception versus the Blitz this season, and 24 touchdowns and an interception across 53 red zone passes. So when he gets in the red zone, like that's what it is. And Devontae Adams, no shock to anybody if I told you Devontae Adams had 49 routes logged inside the 10. That's the most of any wide receivers, in his 8 receptions inside inside the 10. Yeah, right. Like no shocker there. So we know what it is in that space. So I think that's a really critical matchup. You talked about the run game. One of the things the Rams have done a really good job at. Earlier on in the season, Matt Stafford was heavy into the play action piece of it. It's kind of calmed down a little bit. But one thing that they have done a really good job as far as the Rams inside the postseason, they've had more blockers than defenders in the box on 57 of their design runs through 2 postseason games. So that's 100%. So really, that's all it is like they're just McVay's trying to figure out a way, Stafford's trying to figure out a way to win the numbers game. So I think that's a place that is obviously going to be very critical to this game. Can talk about Puka Nacua all day long until I'm blue in the face. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about his 225 yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Rams, where 178 of those yards came on in-breaking routes. All right, cool. Do you want to talk about how he just beats down defenders that aren't cornerbacks in the NFL and how he has 690 receiving yards on those guys, which is 101 more than JSN? Cool. We could talk about that. You want to talk about his 28 missed tackles and his 402 yards after contacts on receptions during the season? Cool. We can talk about that. I thought all of those stats were just very interesting because the guy that's actually second to all of those stats is JSN. So I thought that was just really, really interesting just from that side of things. One thing to pay attention to, man, is the Rams defensively. Emmanuel Forbes was somebody that definitely got targeted. He got targeted quite a bit. Yeah, it got targeted quite a bit. So I think that's definitely something to pay attention to wherever he aligns at. So then we'll talk about the Seahawks, man. Like I told you all the stuff about JSN. Really everything that I just talked about with Puka Nacua. JSN was second in pretty much all those spaces except for the in-breaking routes, which Stephon Diggs was the guy in that. But Ken Walker has he's had 100-plus scrimmage yards and 1 rushing touchdown in both games so far this season. So obviously with him getting a bulk of the work, probably a lot of it, if not all of it this week due to the Charbonnet injury is something to keep an eye on. And then, Walker, man, he's got the second highest missed tackle rate in the NFL amongst players with 150 touches, trailing only the Pittsburgh Steelers' Jaylen Warren. I know, how ironic. It just seems like the universe wants me to get going. But Walker, he's been a top 12 missed tackle guy since he's entered the career. And so during that time, he has the 6th most. He's behind guys like Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, and Travis Etienne. And I'll pause for a second because I think that's where a lot of fantasy managers' frustration really came in with Ken Walker. It's you can see the talent is there. There's no denying the talent. There's no denying the explosiveness there. It's just that for some reason, it just doesn't happen. I think a lot of it is because he likes to try to bounce to the outside. But it's there. It's definitely there for those guys, man. So, or at least for Ken Walker. You talked about Sam Darnold, man. Yeah, so here it is. 1 turnover via interception or strip sack since he's faced the Shula Rams defense combination dating back to 2004. And Darnold is 1-3 versus the Rams with 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions since Shula has became the defensive coordinator. This makes me sick because Chris Shula literally should be the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, or at least should have got an interview. So this literally makes me want to vomit sitting here in my chair reading about how good this defense is, knowing that we have Mike McCarthy. I digress. And the tails for the Seahawks is I thought this was also interesting. Cooper Kupp is on the field almost 50% of the time whenever the Seahawks are gonna run the ball. So he's almost like a wide tight in that space. And the Seahawks, you mentioned it, man. That defense is just it's hell. It's hell. This will be the first ever matchup too with 2 receivers, with 2 players leading in receiving yards and a different player who's also led the league in receiving touchdowns. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take as well. And then this is the main stat here, man. Is this will be the first playoff matchup between the NFL leader in passing yards and the number 1 scoring defense since Peyton Manning versus the Seahawks in 2013. Wow. The passing yard leader is 0-6 in the playoffs versus the number 1 scoring defense in the last 50 seasons. Wow. So, yeah, it is. So all of that, man, that just confirms everything that I wanted to roll with. So I'm going to take the Seahawks in this space, man. I know Sam Darnold has been a little bit shaky, but what better place for him to be than at home?
This doesn't matter. I has to put the game on his shoulders. So that's my whole thing. He hasn't on my shoulders yet, so you may have to in this one. We'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Like that's the beauty. That's the best thing about this game, man. Is like it doesn't. We just seen it. We just seen it. How a lot of these franchises have one guy shoulders the load primarily, and we see what that looks like. And I think this is a team game, and I think the Seattle Seahawks definitely have a recipe for that. Like they don't have to blitz like aggressively. That front can get after it for sure. And then Kyron Williams is another guy, man. I think he I can't remember the stat. I think it was something like he's averaged 70 rushing yards in all of his playoff games. And I think there's 70 yards is what it is, 70 yards, 70 or 77 yards, but rushing. And the only other two backs that have better numbers than him, active players, are Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. So I think Kyron Williams is definitely somebody as well that we have to pay attention to in this space respectfully. And the Seahawks, like the Seahawks, man, like if Sam Darnold don't have to put it on his shoulders, man. Like you got that defense out there, you just got to go out there and not turn it over, man. Like you don't get sexy style points, man. For how it goes down. You just got to get the job done. Yeah, and I definitely believe that's going to happen today for the Seahawks, man.
That's fair. I like both of the teams, so whichever one wins, if they play New England, I think we know what we're doing.
Which is ironic because it'll still be a Super Bowl rematch in some respect.
In some respect, yeah. Out of all these besides Denver, I think LA wouldn't exactly be a repeat.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a rematch. Yeah. Because that's crazy.
So that's the only one. And, yeah. So yeah, I was saying I was like, look, I think my heart and head aligned on the Rams today. I just think my heart and head disagreed on New England today.
Yeah. Man, I'm like, geez, dude.
It's all plays out.
Man, I'm like, dude, I can't believe this is like, and I wanted to just be like, I wanted to be like, yeah, they're so lucky, but like, they're not lucky, man. They're fortunate. Like, they're fortunate. I'm not gonna call it lucky. I'm gonna say they're fortunate, man. But like, they've went out there, man. They've handled business, like it, love it, hate it, whatever, man. Like. They've took care of it. But the only thing that would be really dope though, man, for real, would be like if that game, I'm trying not to be triggered to go like on these like crazy rants that always circle back to the Steelers, but I can't help myself. But like, so if the game was being played today in Foxborough, I think this is a legitimate question. If the game was being played today in Foxborough with this Noista coming up this way, would they cancel this game and make the game for Monday like they did? Like that's it's stuff like that. Like, but it's stuff like that.
Right? It would be a better favorite too. So,
but it's stuff like that like during the Steelers, whatever, however you want to view it, there was a crazy snowstorm that they put the game off on Sunday to fast forward the game to I think it was either a Monday or a Tuesday playoff game, and it's like, dude. Like what happened to just letting these guys play football, man? Like what happened to that? Like, did I miss that? But anyway, man, that would be cool if that game was happening this week, man. Or this week. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think it'd just be a lot of fun, man. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Wait, fun for who?
Fun for us, man. The consumer, the people that pay money to watch these damn games, that's paying, out the nose.
Going out there to watch that game, good Lord.
Yeah, what an experience, though, man. Like, what an experience, dude. Man, you know what it is up north, man. Folks, man, they go outside and do that mess all the time. But what an experience that would be, man, for sure. So, yeah.
Nah, totally. Yep, we'll get into that. Possible. We'll get to that too. So, we will actually get into that, and then Johnny will have his DFS lineup for us. So, going to Patriots Broncos. I got 3 for this game. First one I got is Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think overall, again, Denver is a really respectable defense. I think the weak point is going to be just, again, hammering Denver against the slot and then playing against Riley Moss. So, obviously, I think, Surtain is someone that obviously like you're not going to throw on constantly, but I think this New England team isn't afraid to throw on any number one corner either. So it just remains to be seen. But I do like Drake May, 1.5 passing touchdowns over, especially in a game where this feels like it'll be a little bit more lower scoring. But I feel like with New England, Denver's front seven is still really stout. So unless they get into really good range in terms of field position, I expect Drake May to get a few touchdowns in this one for sure. Ramondre over 2.5 catches. I think this line is a little too low for him just because of how they utilize Stevenson. And again, Denver's defense, you want to get them going more horizontal. You want to check down the ball here and there and then take them with the short and intermediate games. So this should fit right in Stevenson's bag. And then lastly, RJ Harvey, the 3.5 is plus money right now on DraftKings. I think it was plus 108 last time I checked. I think keep it simple with Stidham. Check down the ball to yards after the catch, guys like Harvey, Marvin Mims, you get Corbin Sutton, pretty much one-on-one potentially, especially if you put him in the slot. I do think that RJ Harvey should factor in from receiving in this one for sure. I was definitely tempted to go with Evan Ingram. I just can't. Evan Ingram has been he's just been a shell of himself all season. So I know he had that one game preseason, I think, game where he had like one catch, 58 yards or whatever with Stidham, but I just can't. I can't do it. If he does it, kudos whoever takes it. I couldn't in good faith give out that type of play. So those are the three I got for the prop shop. Looking to get back to 60% on the year. Playoffs has been a little bit, it is what it is. Sometimes the playoffs for props can be a little bit, here and there. Things happen, but we had a 10-6 record last week for the divisional round after making up for the wild card. So to the other game for the prop shop, Rams Seahawks game, I got Puka Nacua over 90 yards receiving. Look, Puka Nacua's numbers and statistics. Puka Nacua, this is a 32% target share. 4.76 yards per route run, and then 3.9 yards per route run against zone. Seattle runs that 72% of the time. So I think with Puka Nacua, it's him and Devontae Adams. Like Devontae Adams burned us last week, but he's not an official play. But he's someone that if you're overall thinking about Devontae Adams and how much of a stud and everything, and how you're looking for the bounce back for him last week. The line doesn't give us much of a bounce back unless you probably took it a little earlier. But again, 50.5 for Devontae. It's an unofficial play if you want to play it, but I'm not counting it. So if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, whatever. But Puka Nacua for me, 90 plus yards. I think this line should be over 100. Tyler Higbee over 15.5 receiving yards. The matchup is there for all the tight ends. Again, it's Russian roulette. We were fortunate with Parkinson last week. I do think Higbee's line is just too low for how they still utilize Higbee. And I do think in this matchup where I think out of the two games, we're going to see a little bit more of a higher scoring matchup. I think this line is a little bit too low for Tyler Higbee. And again, the 13 personnel that I love to use with the Rams to try to get the run game going can set up for a play action pass down the middle for Higbee. Seen it countless times already in the postseason. And then JSN over 6.5 catches. We're due for a JSN bounce back. Last week, they just didn't need him. Football is that. They didn't need JSN. He had 3 catches last week?
Like, yeah, 17-0 before anything even happened.
They didn't need him. So going back to with JSN, he's been he's at the time we've taken him this year, 3 of the last 4 we've taken him for JSN in the year. He's hit for us, so we're going right back to the well for the catches. JSN 9 catches and then 8 catches in the last 2 games in this matchup. So he should hit the 7, potentially more. If you want to ladder it up, feel free to do so as well. Blake Corum and Kyron Williams, both their rushing lines. Blake Corum's line a little too low for the matchup. I think, again, with Kevin Dotson, he was back for the Chicago game. But I'm telling you, he makes a world's difference at right guard for them. When it comes down to it, the Rams' rushing offense just looks a lot better with him involved. And Kyron's line. Kyron's been our boy all season. Like, Kyron's been our boy all season. Besides one game, we took him in the regular season. They didn't clear his rushing line, 50+ yards. Like, he's cleared this in both the games. So I all due respect, Seattle's run defense is definitely tough. But again, like I said, the top of the matchup, the running game has to get there for the Rams to really open more things up for their offense. And I do think Kyron Williams 50+, even if it's a game where it's a little bit sluggish and stuff like that. I think Kyron Williams will find a way to get there early in the third quarter, at least with this line. A few more for this game. Stafford, going back to the well on him, 256.5 passing yards. The guy threw for over 400 yards passing last game. Like, I think that is just something we have to go back to. And worst case scenario, if they can't get the run game going, that just means more attempts for Stafford to throw the football. So this line should clear pretty easily. Stafford pretty much the MVP this year, so why not put the team on his back? And then last but not least, somewhat revenge spot-ish, Cooper Kupp. Line's pretty juiced right now, but 2.5 catches, like, sign me up. Like, Seattle, I think in this game, are going to, based on game script, is going to have to get the ball outside the JSN. So someone else is going to have to factor in. Shaheed is someone you could definitely go with, but I think with Cooper Kupp with this line, I don't think the books are respecting this one. I don't think they're respecting how much Cooper Kupp might want to stick it back to his old team in a matchup that matters most. So that's what I got for the prop shop.
Dig that. All right, we'll switch it over here, man. Our DFS and let you see what we got. Just already had a little stuff cooking up here. Kind of revisited. I don't
see Cooper Kupp.
Well, we got to get there. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know with him. I could totally see his space with that, but guess what I have to see is if he gets our flex. Yeah, so I got Drake May. Obviously, it's kind of hard for me to move away from Drake May. I think, geez, man, I feel like I've seen the stat was like almost every game so far this year, or significantly more, 75 to 80% of the games that he's played in this season, he's accounted for over 270 scrimmage yards. I think it's easy money, easy math, especially given the fact that he's $300 less than Matt Stafford, going against the league's #1 defense. And, all those nice stats I gave you guys earlier about how defenses have the best defense has won. So I think I'm going to roll with Drake May at QB today in that space. Ramondre Stevenson, talked about him in the heater that he's been on offensively. So it's really obviously difficult to move away from him in this respect. So you got that. Ken Walker, I think Ken Walker's, I don't know how he's not like 1,000% owned. Which there's a part of, I'm not even gonna lie to you, there's a part of me that like, and I probably will, like once we get off of here, I got like one more line. I'll probably move off of him. Like I'm gonna play him right here. For sure. But like, I just don't know how he's not 1,000% owned. Like, how is he not a lock? But which that's the ultimate tilt. But whatever, man. It's the ultimate tilt. So Ken Walker, Puka, and JSN. Actually, fun fact about JSN too. Actually, I forgot to bring this up as you were, the yardage piece hit. I was like, oh yeah, that was another stat I had that I forgot about. JSN led the league last year in receiving yards from the slot. This year, he leads the league in receiving yards from the outside. JSN, baby.
Real plethora Ohio State receiver. Yep.
Yeah. Shout out to Arthur Smith. Pop Douglas talked about like how good Denver had been down the field. So I think with them being as good as they've been down the field, Matt Collins is back today, I do believe. So I do think there's just not a way for me to work Steph Diggs into this lineup without having like an ultimate sacrifice, unless I completely move down somewhere off of tight end. And I don't really feel comfortable doing that. So I do think like whether it's Pop Douglas or maybe even Matt Collins today, I do think we'll definitely get some action for those guys. So in the prop spaces, I'm definitely looking at some of those receivers reception wise, not yardage wise, because I think it's going to be more about the targets they'll get today. Yeah. And then Higbee, we got him at tight end. And so really now it just comes down to the flex position. And obviously got to play the Patriots defense against Jared Stidham. right? What could go wrong? So it really leads us to a space where it's, we can continue to kind of stack up with the Patriots and go Keyshawn Booty. We can go Jaleel McLaughlin, Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims Jr., or Rashid Shaheed. Part of me, who?
Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams.
Yeah, Kyle Williams. Yeah, my only beef with Kyle Williams right now is there's another body back and it's Mac Hollins. So I think that's my only. Yeah, that's now. I'm looking at this and I'm in the space of either Keyshawn Boutte, Rashid Shaheed. That's really where I'm at. I know obviously Marvin Mims can take one to the house at any point in time. So can Pat Bryant. But I'm just very fearful of this Broncos passing game today. So it's either Shaheed or Booty for me is really where I'm leaning, and I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
In this space, just because I think we've seen his big playability pop off.
Yeah.
So we'll just go ahead and lock that down. The lineup is a little bit different than most, leaving $600 on the table, which is always just, for people who play DFS or just kind of getting into it or whatever the case may be. That's always one way to get a little bit unique, especially on a 2-game slate, is by leaving money on the table. So we got Drake May, we got Drake May, Ramondre Stevenson, Ken Walker, Puka Nacua, JSN, Pop Douglas, Tyler Higbee, Rashid Shaheed, and the New England Patriots defense for our DraftKings DFS lineup.
Whoop.
All right. There it is, man. There it is.
Let's win some money.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it, dude. That's it. So, yeah. Next to last one of these for the regular season. So, hopefully get to get back on here and celebrate Sam Darnold like he's a national treasure and a national pastime.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a lot else to be excited about, man. They take,
I don't have anything else to be excited.
Yeah, it took Caleb Williams away from me last week. That's a bummer. So yeah, I mean, I don't really like anybody else that's in the playoffs. So I'm definitely rooting for the biggest. I'm still rooting for the biggest underdog in Jared Stidham today on a Hail Mary. But outside of that, it's Sam Darnold. So if the fantasy gods could bless us with a Denver versus Seattle Super Bowl, it would be great. It'd be great. It'd be great.
Seen it? Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll be gambling on it either way, but yeah.
Oh boy, yo. Well, we've come to the end of the show. Any final thoughts before we let the people go?
Yeah, if you have a franchise, you have a team, you have a head coach right now who's actually pretty decent, protect them at all costs, man. Just protect them at all costs, because you never know when your organization will just decide to wake up one day and be like, you know what? Let's make the most asinine hire that we could possibly come up with. Meanwhile, let's not even take into consideration any of these offensive gurus that are here and that could absolutely help us out and put us in a different place and set us up for success in the future. Maybe they might look good now. But what do they look like in 5 years? And I think that's what it is for me. That's all I've got. I don't have anything. Go Sam Darnold, man. Go out there, ball out, for sure. Jared Stidham, please do us a favor for every Patriot hater out there. Just please. That's it. I don't really have a lot else, man. I don't.
Oh boy, yo.
Oh yeah. Listen. Yeah. At this point, I wouldn't even care if we didn't have one.
Coach, yeah.
I wouldn't even care. Oh man, blood pressure going. Some people are just morons, man. Not you, Haywood, obviously. I love you. But just Steeler fans, some of them are morons. It's dude, how in the world can you justify this? Mike McCarthy ain't never raised the level of anything. Anything. And this man has had. Do you see how many coaches like got bounced by dude, Sean McDermott, Harbaugh, they had MVPs. The MVPs of the NFL were on their roster. And they have as many Super Bowls as the guy who has never coached an MVP. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, this is just stupidity, man. Stupidity. At its finest. Like, oh my God.
At its finest.
Jeez, bro. Yeah. Yeah, no, maybe their playoff record does suck. Maybe it does, right? But like, you can't sit here and tell me that by having MVPs and multiple MVPs at this point, possibly, like, this is crazy to me. This is crazy. Anyway, enough said.
Oh boy. Well, I only got one more show until we take our little hiatus before off season kind of hits in. So we got one more show. We'll go over, break down the Super Bowl, of course, whatever. And that's it. So yeah, like if your favorite team's still in it, these Patriot fans on here, not good luck. For all the people who are, in DFS lineups today, for us taking props today, like that's all we're cheering for today. You ain't rooting for no dang teams, like unless your team's in it. So
green money and Sam Darnold.
It's been a hell of a year, honestly. Like, I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's always been through, or they're canceling games now. Not this game, but they're canceling NBA games now all of a sudden. So yeah. Due to the inclement weather all over the place. Should probably be in Phoenix right now or Haywood right now. Actually. I don't think they got affected, and I don't think Florida got affected. I think Phoenix and the rest of the West, like California and stuff, and then like Florida didn't get hit. I think everywhere else pretty much did. So
yeah.
Weather-wise. But yeah, like I said, it's been a heck of a ride this season. I want to thank everybody that's been through our show. In and out, whether you came and liked, you subscribed to the channel, you retweeted our stuff on X, like you liked our stuff on Facebook. Like, we appreciate every single one of you, and even for the people that just have come in, watched, and then left. Thank you for that too. So that being said, full of gratitude. Really appreciate it for all the people that have always continued to show love for us. We appreciate y'all. So we'll keep an announcement for the next show that we're on, but the next show we'll be talking about is the Super Bowl and breaking that down and running our favorites for who may take the Vince Lombardi trophy. So that being said, myself, John, we out of here. We'll see you in the next show. Peace.